What's up, you guys? It's Gnosis the God here. Welcome back to another DC Universe online tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit. I'm just going to be teaching you guys about controlling. You know, what controlling is all about. Being a controller can be pretty complicated, especially if you're new to the role. So for those of you newer guys who just hit level 30 and you're trying to decide whether, if you have a power that can do DPS as well as controlling, trying to decide which one to go with. So this is basically what you're going to be getting into if you decide to be a controller. So basically, as a controller, your main role is to keep your group members to keep their power up. Now, power, for those of you who don't know, is what powers. It's a little blue bar underneath your health in the top left that it'll drain as I use power. So if I go like this, it's going to drain. You can see it draining in the top left. So yeah, it drains. It basically drains your power. Now, your role as a controller is going to be to keep your groups, everyone in your groups, power up, so that they can keep on using their powers. So your DPS guys can do lots of damage. So your tanks don't die and keep their defense up, and so your healers can't even speak anymore. So your healers can keep everyone in the group alive. So first off, I'm using dual pistol. Now I'm on the test server. For those of you who don't know, my name is Gnosis Test, so that might have been a little bit of a giveaway. But I'm using dual pistol. Now the reason I use dual pistol, and a lot of people, a lot of controllers like to use dual pistol, is because that you can pretty much just hold down your range button, and you can stand like this. And now for some reason you can't see it on my screen. I don't know why. I think it might be something with the test server. But usually that's going to build up your combo. So just standing there is going to build up your combo. And building up your combo is going to result in you regenerating your power faster. And that will allow you, when your power is up faster, you can transfer that power over to your teammates, keeping the whole, everyone's rolls going. So that is why I chose dual pistols. Also, it's a ranged-based power or weapon. So as a controller, you're going to be pretty squishy, and you don't want to be up, especially once you get into raids and stuff, you don't want to be up near the enemies. You want your tanks and your DPSs up there, preferably your tanks. You and the healer should be way back, because you are very important to the group. Okay, now I'm going to show you my powers. Now, I'm using mental, but I'm kind of just going to be doing an overview, so this would work with controlling as a quantum player, and all the other controlling powers. So and light. So it's quantum, light, and mental are the controlling powers. So basically, let me get into these traits here. So I'm gonna be focusing. You're gonna be wanting to put your powers into. Actually, let's head over to our inventory. You're gonna want to be putting your powers into a couple major stats. Those stats being Vitalization. Vitalization is the #1 most important thing as a controller. You also want to have power. So Vitalization, power, and dominance are key to being a controller. Those three stats are very important. So first, Vitalization. Basically what that does is, as a controller, let me show you right now, when I hit my second power, this one, I don't have any other players on my team, but basically what that's going to be doing is it's going to be regenerating power to my teammates. So when I do this, it'll regenerate power to the 3 players on my team that have the weakest amount of power, that have the least power. It's kind of going to look like that on their screen, where I just get that power. It's going to look like that on their screen, but it's going to look like this as a controller. And that number, the higher your vitalization is, the more power you're going to be giving to your team. Basically, look at it that way. Another important thing, so power itself. So that stat right there that I'm highlighting over now is actually how much I just use power in every sentence, but how much power you have as an individual. And if you have more power, that means you can transfer over more power to your teammates, and spend more power debuffing your enemies. I'm going to talk about debuffing in a second. So Vitalization, okay, then Dominance. So Dominance, your secondary role as a controller is crowd control, keyword controller. You're controlling the crowd. So that's like stunning, rooting, all that good stuff. Just making it very difficult for the enemy to hurt your teammates. So dominance, the higher your dominance is, the harder it's going to be for your enemies to break out of those control effects, such as stunning, rooting, and all that good stuff. So dominance, I think, is, since controlling the crowd is kind of secondary for a controller, I think dominance isn't nearly as important as vitalization is. Keep that in mind. Okay, now I'm going to be talking about the powers and what each of them do. So let's go down in here into control. Now first, telekinesis. Now this power, it's going to be called something different, but it's generally going to do the same thing for the other powers, for light and quantum. So this power, it's going to, as soon as you use it, for the next couple of minutes, you see under control role in the left here, restores power to group members over time. So this is called POT, power over time. So basically, when you first start a fight, just pop this instantly. Basically, okay, so now I'm using basically in every sentence. But this is what it looks like. So it looks like that, right? Now look under, I don't have a pointer or a mouse or anything, but look under in the top left, under my health bar and my power bar, you can see a little lightning bolt. That means that POT, power over time, is active. Now, all your other teammates are going to be seeing that lightning bolt as well, because that means you, the controller, is providing POT for them. As long as that lightning bolt is there, so it just went away. But as long as it's there, do not use this power again. When you use it again, it will activate POT for about another minute or so. So basically, you're going to want to have that lightning bolt constantly there. That's the first thing, POT. Now, this is getting into more complicated parts of POT, but another part of it is that you'll see people in your group. You're going to have to do this to your controller. You're going to have to compare your VIT, your vitalization, because whoever has the highest vitalization, whichever controller in your group has the highest vitalization, is going to take priority, and they are going to be responsible for providing POT. They will be the primary controller. The reason they have that is because if I use POT like this, and I start giving power over time to my teammates, and then another controller uses it, it's going to cancel out mine, so it'll cut off my POT and put his POT in. And basically that's just wasting mine and his energy. You only really need one person to be doing POT after all. So the best thing to do is have the person with the highest vitalization responsible for the power over time. So before you start fighting enemies and stuff, make sure you talk to your group mates and tell them that your vitalization, ask them what theirs is, and that's going to be very important. VIT is short for vitalization, if you guys ever see that in the chat. So that is pretty much it for power over time. Now we already talked about this. It's going to be restoring energy to the 3 weakest members of your team, the 3 with the least amount of power. Now, as a secondary controller, you're going to be doing a lot of this. You are not going to be using your POT, okay? So if you're a secondary controller, just use this all the time. If you're a primary controller, you're going to want to use your power over time. Mine's already active, but I'm going to use it again just to show you guys. So say I was the primary controller for my group, I've got the most vitalization. When we get in the fight, I'm going to pop POT. Then I'm going to be, every time I see that my group mates are getting low on energy, I'm going to be popping this. Then once their power over time is gone again, I'm going to go like that. As a secondary controller, you're pretty much just going to be watching the primary controller's energy as well as all the other group members' energy and just running around doing this pretty much. When you run out of energy yourself, you can always do this to build up your combo and regenerate energy. Okay, now we're going to talk about debuffs. This is also very important. It's also kind of secondary. The power part of controlling is the most important in my opinion. But debuffing is also very key to being a controller. So let's go ahead and look at that. I know that's super confusing, guys. It's kind of advanced, but being a controller is, it's hard stuff. So first off, thought bubble. Now if you look under controller role, it says reduces enemy defenses. Now let's take a look. Okay, so actually let's just go over all 3 of these. So thought bubble reduces the enemy's defenses. That'll make it so that you and your teammates can do more damage to the enemy. Pyrokinesis is going to reduce the target's ability to heal and removes power over time effects. which isn't important for PvE as much, unless you've got a couple bosses that are healing, that can do self-heals and stuff, or they have little... I remember in the Brainiac one, Brainiac Duo for Tier 3, Tier 2 or 3, Tier 3, I think it's Tier 2 actually. There's a boss, and he has these little bots that heal him. Hit him up with this debuff, because it'll make it much harder for them. He'll take less health, and once again, making it easier for your team to fight that boss. Sorry, I can't even speak anymore, like I said. Cryokinesis. Reduces the target's damage output and removes damage roll buffs. The buffs, don't worry about the buffs if you're in PvE. This is for focus more on PvE. So, the cryokinesis is going to make it so that your enemies are going to do less damage to you and your allies. So, in PvE, you're going to be wanting to spam Thought Bubble and cryokinesis. I can't even say that word. Alright, so this is what it's going to look like when I use Thought Bubble. So that one. Now look at the sparring target, and then right underneath his name, the sparring target, you're going to see, right next to my health bar, you're going to see his health bar, and under that, you're going to see a little shield. It's red though, which means that his defense is debuffed, and my teammates can now do more damage to him than we normally would be doing. So yes, that is what the defense debuff does. Now healing debuff, so you can have the defense one. So say we hit him with the defense, now he's starting to heal. Oh no, we hit this one. Now you see the red heart underneath his name as well as the shield. That's going to make it so that it's much harder for him to take in health from his allies, if he has any, or for him to self-heal. So the red is debuff, and the green, like under my name, is buff, okay? So let's get into the last one here. This one is you're going to see the little crosshairs, like the precision kind of thing. And that means that he's going to be doing less damage. So to sum it up, guys, in PvE, most of the time, you're going to want to have the shield and the target, the red shield and the red target on your enemy, especially if it's a boss. So let's go over to this one. You're going to want to have the red shield, the red debuff, or shield debuff, and the damage debuff most of the time. If he's healing and he's healing himself, also pop that one. But don't waste your energy on that one if he's not self-healing, because it uses energy to use that power. Okay, so now, alright, I got to... Basically, this is what it's going to look like. So, I just pretend I'm the primary controller. We come into a boss fight. Alright, I pop my power over time. Then we pop this one and this one. Okay, so I've got my power over time going. My team's all powered up, and the boss is debuffed. So now I'm just going to be doing my combos and stuff. Oh no, wait, his debuffs are off, so we're going to put those back on him and then get back onto it. So then, like, some of my group members are just losing power. I gotta pop that. This one is also gonna buff your precision, your damage. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, so now let's talk about the final power. Oops, not damage. Control. Word of power. Call forth lightning to knock back and stun your enemies. The summoned lightning heals yourself and restores power over time to you and up to 7 group members. This is gold for controllers, because especially if you're solo trolling, your team is totally low on energy, like they're struggling. The healer can't get out his heals, the tank's taking heavy hits, the DPSs are used up all their power, and now they're just using their weapon moves. Now you're in trouble because you have no power. I can't even get myself to no power because the sparring targets give me power. But say you have no one in your group has power, but using your supercharge does not use power. So we pop this, it hits us with that lightning bolt, then you see the lightning bolt underneath my name, the power over time. That is going to be under all of your teammates' names, except it is going to be restoring it like constantly. Just their power bars are just going to go like full, pretty much. And that is super key because basically, while that power over time is going from the word of power, your DPSs, your healers can just spam. The healer can spam with healing moves. The DPSs can spam like their biggest power hungry moves. Just spam all of that while that power over time is going, because they will pretty much have full power for a couple of seconds. So that gives your team that's pretty much, save that for when you need it, like when you're in trouble. But that's really it, guys. I know it was super complicated. Being a controller is very complicated. But I really hope this guide helped you out. If it did, leave a like. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, peace out, guys.